Hey, Ray Del Vecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. I want to give you a first look at the WordPress 2024 theme, which just got released about a week ago. WordPress has been constantly updating the full site editing feature, and in this theme, you can see that they give you a much better pre-made layout already done for you. So I'm going to go through this and just slightly customize it instead of completely overhauling this website. Let me jump into the dashboard where I just set up a fresh WordPress installation. And you can see we're using WordPress version 6.4.1. And if you check down here on the dashboard, it'll show you that you have the 2024 theme installed. Otherwise, you want to go to Appearance and Themes and install it here. And then we can jump into the editor to edit all of our templates. And WordPress added to this menu on the left here. So now you can access your styles, your navigation menus. And I think included with this update is the ability to edit your page content within the template editor. That was a big frustration that people had when they're designing their templates and they thought they'd be able to just add in content right there. So like I said, WordPress is updating this with pretty much every release. Something has changed with the user interface as they're developing more and more power with the full site editing. Not to mention that reusable blocks have been rebranded as patterns. And then they tell you right here that if you're looking for the template parts, such as your header and your footer, that's going to be in your patterns, and you insert those into your templates. I'm going to jump into the styles, and we have pre-made styles here. There's 8 of them to choose from. So I'm going to go with this blue one. In this example, they give you a layout for an architecture company, so that's what we're going to run with. So let's save that. And before I get started with the editing, let me just create a couple pages along with uploading the media that I have to fill out this design. So I'll go back here, or we can click this My WordPress button, and it looks like this isn't linked. I got to click the icon, and that'll take us back to our dashboard. So I'll go over to the media, and I have a folder open here with all these files, which, by the way, I'm going through this tutorial by using my guide, which I'll let you download. Just check it in the description below. I give you my links here to get set up with hosting if you haven't done that yet. And I'm going to link up this right here, number 3, with the download tutorial assets. So you'll get a link to the zip file, including all of these images that I'm using. And I also have all the steps that we're going to go through so you can follow along. Check those links in the description, grab this guide. I'll go back to the media library and let me drag and drop the files here. I just got to click Add New Media File. And I'm going to select everything except this Photoshop file for the logo, which I created. This is just a free icon I found online. I'll drag them over, and we have all the photos that we can fill into our template now. And then I'll just go over to our Pages section over here, and this is where we can add our pages. So I'll click Add New Page. And now with 2024, they give you the ability to choose a pattern as soon as you create a page. So instead of building it from scratch, once again, you can choose from some of these pre-done patterns. Our homepage template is using this business home pattern. I'm going to create an about page, and I'll just use the about pattern. That'll set us up. And then I just got to set the title. Now you could set a featured image, and this template should have a featured image appear under the title, but since this layout already contains a featured image style, we're going to leave it as is. So let me just publish these pages really quickly, then we'll do the rest from the template editor. So I'll publish that. We can either go back to the view pages from this icon on the top left, or I could just click Add New Page right here. So for this one, we'll do a portfolio layout, and I'll choose this portfolio home image gallery pre-done layout. I'll set the title. We'll publish that, and I will do one more. I'll do a pricing page. And for this one, I don't think that there's any pricing table on this list of patterns, but we will be able to find a pattern to do a pricing table without having to design that from scratch. So I'll exit out of that, and we'll set the title of this page, publish it, and we could jump back to our WordPress admin area. And from here, we'll jump back into the editor, and we'll start doing a few customizations. So just a quick intro, if we jump into the editor, you just got to click that preview window, and this will bring up the editor. Up top here in the top center, this is where you can navigate between templates, template parts, or even pages. Now this used to be a drop-down menu, and right now they're doing a search. You could also bring this up by using the shortcut Control-K. So we're editing the blog home template, and this is going to show on our homepage. If you wanted to build a completely custom homepage, you can create a home page like we did on the Pages section and edit that within the WordPress settings, but I'm going to use what we already have here. And then if you wanted to go to another template. Say, for instance, you want to go to one of the page templates. You can search for pages, and this is going to be our pages template. This is the overriding template that displays our pages. And let's say you wanted to edit one of the individual pages, like the About page we just created. You can search for that. Or let's say you want to edit the header. You can edit that. And you can see the icons are different based on whether you're editing a template part, or a specific page. Now in the top left here, this is going to show you your hierarchy of blocks. You just got to click this icon and you'll see the list view of all the blocks that make up this template. So on the top level, we have our header template part, and the template parts appear as purple. So you can create a pattern yourself and save it as a template part if you'd like. In this case, we already have a header and a footer template part, and then all the content in the middle is within this group. And we can see that we have all these different groups to create the various sections on this home page. Then when you go ahead and select a block, so I'll just click on one of these blocks, you'll see how it opens up that block within the list view here. And then you can also see the hierarchy in the bottom left of where this is within the template. So a few nested groups and then a paragraph element. And then on the right side, you have your settings and your styles. So you can toggle the options on the right panel by using these buttons. So we can either show or hide the settings, show or hide the styles. And within the settings, you're going to have the individual settings for the block of content. And then you also have the settings for the entire template or the page. And in the top right here, you also have the preview window. So you can change this from a desktop view to a tablet view and then down to a mobile, so you can see how it drops down on smaller devices. So let's jump into the styles here. If you want to change the pre-made style, you can access it also from this Browse Styles icon, just like we saw within the template editor. Usually with WordPress, there's a few different places where you can edit the same thing. And that's even more true now with 2024, like I said, where you can edit the page content right within the template editor, or you can go over to the pages section where we created those pages and edit there. And with the styles menu open, we can click this eye icon, and that shows us our style book, which is pretty much just showing us how our blocks appear. So you can see this is what a quote block looks like. You got a list block, code block, and then up here you can see how media appears. You got other design features, buttons, columns, groups, your widgets, and then the specifics of your theme, your navigation menu, your site logo, your site title. So we'll exit out of this style book, and then you can further customize this pre-made template by going into the typography, the colors, and the layout. These are going to apply across your entire theme. So I'm only going to make a few small changes here. I'll jump into the typography, and I want to edit the button. So we're going to make this a little bit larger. We're going to make it medium size, and then we're going to make it bold. And I also want to make it uppercase, but it doesn't look like we can do that from the typography section. So the way we can edit that is by going back, jumping into the blocks, and you can set the way any block looks like by default. So we'll just search for the button block. And there's two variations. You have your fill color button, and then you have an outline style button. So let's go back, and we're going to jump down to the typography section on the button block. And this is where we can edit our letter case. So I'll do uppercase, and we'll jump back here. And if you wanted to edit your template colors, this one already has a color palette built in, but you can go ahead and change your color palette. That way, when you bring up a new block on any of these pages or within a template, you can easily select your pre-made colors, and then you can set your default colors here for these various elements: your text, background, links, captions, button, and heading. So I'm going to leave all these as is because they have nice contrast built in. Now let me start editing this template. I'll upload our logo. We have a space here that you can tell the logo is ready to be uploaded. We can just click that button and select it from our media library. So let me select that. And if I click into here, this is our site title block. So previously, you might edit this from the WordPress general settings where you set your site title and tagline. We can do it right from the editor. So I'll just copy this here, the name of the architecture company. And then we'll go down here and we can link up this button. Now that we have an About page, I'll just click the link and you can search for About, and that should bring up our About page. So that's good. And then I'll just update a couple of these photos here. So I like this one. Let me scroll down, click this image, hit the replace button. We can open our media library. And I'll select this one of a team. And you can see the image name here. This is Pexels. That's the free stock photo website where I got all these photos, which I'll link up in the description below as well. I usually use that to fill the space until I get real photos from one of my clients. Another feature which I don't believe was in the previous template editor is adding this asterisk to the headline. So if you jump in here and we open up the settings, you can see that with a heading, you can either do a default heading or add this asterisk before. And then let me scroll down, and we have a little image here for a testimonial. Now this one, it's not letting me click it, but you can see we have these scroll bars, and that's because this image is so small. So I got to actually scroll down here. There might be an easier way to do this, but you can see that this is where the upload button is. You can't really read it, obviously. And then you got media library. So I'm just going to click on that. That'll open our media library, and I'll select this photo here. And the last thing I'm going to touch here is the footer. So we'll jump down to the footer area, and if we look at the infrastructure of the footer, you can see we have a group, then we have columns. Funny enough, the second column has no content in it. It's just kind of like a spacer. And then the third column actually has 3 columns of content, or links. I want to simplify this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is remove this first link list because this is for subpages of the About page, which we don't have created right now. So let me just delete this stack, which in order to do this, once again, we have this scroll bar here. I got to scroll over to hit that 3-dot icon and delete it. And then I'm going to move the second stack here into the second column. We can drag and drop that and make sure that it's nested within that column. And then this last column here, I'm going to move this stack up above the row level because we don't really need that row. Let me just go ahead and delete this row. I'm going to make these columns equal width. So if you jump into any of the columns, you can set the width here. So the first one's set to 30, second one 20, and the third one is 50. Obviously that adds up to 100. So I'm going to do 34, 33, 33 to make them equal width. You can see down here it is prompting you to generate your site tagline if you want to do that. I'm going to leave that blank. And then for the social list, I'm going to remove this set of links, and instead I'm going to do icons. And let me insert that after the headline and see if I can do that and then just delete this stack just to simplify the infrastructure. So you can get as complicated as you want to do these layouts. It takes a little bit of playing around with to understand how the different elements work, like the group element, the columns, the stacks. So I'll select add after this headline. So anytime you add a new block, you can just type the slash, and that will bring up the box here where you can select the type of block that you want. We can either search out social, but it's actually listed right here, the social icons. And we just got to click the plus button to add our links. So we're going to do the same 3 here, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Let me click back into that and add the other 2. And if I search out Twitter, I think they have both icons if you want to do the old Twitter icon or the new X icon, which I'll choose that. And just to make sure that these appear on the front end, you have to link them up. I'll just add the link to Facebook and then copy and paste that to add in the other links for Instagram and Twitter. Obviously, you want to add your handle to the end of these so it goes right to your profile. This one, we could actually just use x.com, which is nice and short. So let's apply that, and you can see those went from being transparent to full color. With any of these blocks as well, you have your settings up here for that particular block, and usually the box on the left takes you up 1 level. So right now we're within the X social icon block. If we click this, we'll go back up a level to the social icons. This is where we can choose our size. So we can set this to a large size to make them slightly bigger. And like I said, with all these external links, I usually want to open them in a new tab. And you can do that right from the settings over here. Just enable this option. You could also change your justification or the orientation if you want the icons to go left to right or top to bottom. So that's all I'm going to do for the homepage. Let's save this, and you can see when we save it, it's going to tell you all the elements within your site that you're updating. So we're updating our site icon and logo along with the title. We're updating the blog home template. That's this entire template right here. the template parts, the header and the footer, which they're going to update everywhere they're used. And we're updating our custom styles, which same thing, that's going to update on all these templates. So let's go ahead and save that. And we can take a quick look on the front end. I'll just refresh this page. And now we got our template in place. Like I said, it was already done for the most part, and we just updated this. This one is a little subscriber call to action. So this one you're going to have to link in with an email marketing service. So this might be an external link. But just to keep this tutorial short, I'm going to skip that part. We're just going to continue with the features of 2024. So let's go back to our template editor, and I can search out the About page right from here. And let me click on one of these items here. So if I click into it, you get this little notification here. It says, edit your template to edit this block. So the Pages template is what runs all your pages. So if you want to edit every page, you want to edit your Pages template. But for this, we're just going to edit the content on the About page. So right here, this is a featured image, which, like I said, we don't have that uploaded to the page because we're using this pre-made layout. So I'm going to go to the content of the About page, which is down here. This is an About Us button on the About page, which that doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to change this to Portfolio, and we can link it up to the Portfolio page. Just search that out and select it. Let's scroll down to the images down here, and I'll upload these or just add them from the media library. So that first name, I actually just downloaded these headshots randomly, but I feel like the names and the faces almost fit. So we got Francesca, and I'll choose this headshot for that. We got Rye Moore. I think this looks like Rye. I don't actually know what that is, if it's an English name. We got Helga and Ivan. This guy kind of looks like an Ivan. And let me go back down into the footer here. And once again, now that I'm editing that template part, it's telling me that I have to go to the template as opposed to this page to edit that. So let me just save this. You can see we're editing the content on the About page. And let me show you just a different way to navigate. So we'll go back here, click the back button. Once again, click the back button to get to that top level menu, and we can go into our patterns. If you want to go to template parts, you got to navigate down here. And I'm going to jump into our footer template part, and that just brings up the footer without the rest of the template. So I'll click into here, just delete this navigation menu. In fact, I think there's a stack above that, so we'll delete the entire stack. And we can save that. And let's take a look at our About page now. And you can see how that looks now that we got some of the images filled in. Looks a lot nicer. And we have our link list deleted. So it's really awesome how quickly you can create using these pre-made layouts. We're back here on the template editor, and like I mentioned, you can edit your pages directly from the template editor, or if you like, you can go back and do it from the Pages menu. So if I click into this, I'll edit this page right from the Pages section. I'll click on Portfolio, and we have our portfolio layout that we imported. So I'm going to just go ahead and fill in these photos. So let me go through one of these just to show you. Just like all the other ones we've done, we just click it, select from the media library, and I'll fill this in with images that match the orientation of what they have on here. And so you can see on the right-hand side within our settings, this is where you can set the aspect ratio. Scale-wise, this is set to cover, so it's just going to cover the entire area, whereas if you did contain, it would show the entire photo, and it would have some dead space if it didn't fit within that aspect ratio. And another cool feature, which I believe was just added to this version of WordPress, is that they have a built-in lightbox. So you can expand this photo on click by enabling this button. This is something that I was doing with a JavaScript library called FancyBox, but it's great that the core WordPress software now includes this. So you're going to see that once we try this on the front end. I don't know if you could test this out on the back end here, but let me go ahead and fill in the rest of these photos, and I'll meet you back here. We got this page filled in. The other thing that you see here is the title of this page, which this is kind of a layout for a photographer versus an architecture company, but obviously, tons of companies use a portfolio style layout. I'm just going to change this to a paragraph. You can do that by going over here and clicking on the heading block and then transforming to another element. It's still the same size, and that's because the typography is set to XXL. So let me see if I can just reset this. And I'll just change this to, one quick line. Here are some of our architectural designs. And this is aligned left, so I will center it. So that's all I'm going to do on this page. Let me update this, and we can view it on the front end. And they obviously put a lot of space above and below this heading here. So I'll probably shrink this down a little bit, but if we go into these photos, you can see when we hover over it, we get this little icon on the top right and the magnifying glass, and this is the expand on click feature. So if you click that, it's going to bring it up into a full-size window and make the background your base color, whatever is set within your WordPress styles. So what I'll do here is show you how to utilize custom CSS code. I'm just going to add one line of code to change the background color on this. So the way I normally like to do this is use Google Chrome Inspector. So if you right-click and hit Inspect, that'll bring up your Inspector window, which I have this in a separate window here. And when you hover over these elements, it's going to highlight them. So I want to see where this background color is set. It looks like it's set right here on this div class equals scrim. And it's an inline style, and you can see that it's set to our preset base color. That's the variable that it's using. So what I'm going to do is make this black and slightly transparent. Now right here, you can see that it's just being applied to element.style. That's the inline style. And so I'm looking for the class that I can target. As I just said, it's that scrim class. This is the background color that's being overwritten, and that's why it's crossed out here. So what I normally do is just copy and paste this code. That's going to give us the class that we're going to target, and we're going to change the background color. And with CSS, you can mark it as important, which is going to overwrite that inline style. Sounds confusing, but when I show you how easy it is just to copy and paste it in, I think you'll like it. So let's go back to the editor. And the ability to add custom CSS is within your styles menu. So in order to do that, we are going to have to go back to our template editor, I think. I'm not sure if you can access the styles from the page screen, and it doesn't look like it. So let me go back to the site editor. I'll just go to Appearance Editor. And I can either click into this preview window or go into the styles over here and just click the Edit button. And that'll bring up our Styles tab. From here, you want to click the Styles three-dot icon. This is where you can access the text box to either write or paste in CSS code. So let me paste this in. I got to add that end bracket to close off the statement. If you want to make this a little bit more readable, you can do it on multiple lines. I normally like to do one single line. So I'll put a space in there. And we'll change the background color. This is a hex code. You can input this with multiple formats. So what I'm going to use is RGBA, and that A stands for the alpha channel. That's what gives you the transparency. So black is 0 for red, green, and blue. So we'll do 0, 0, 0, 0.9. So it's going to be 90% dark with that 10% of transparency built in. And then, like I said, we have to add this important tag because otherwise it's going to be overwritten by the inline style. And the way to do that is right before that ending semicolon, you want to add exclamation point important with no space. So let's save this and check it out on the front end. So right now we have that old style. Let me refresh and check it out. And now we got our new black with transparency. So anytime something doesn't look the way that you like it with the editor and you can't figure out a way to edit it with the editor, you can almost always override with your own custom CSS. Obviously not something you have to do, but you have that control. We're back here on the WordPress dashboard, and the last page that I'm going to edit is the pricing page. So let me go to the Pages section. I'll jump in here, and we're going to add a pre-made pricing pattern. So from here, if you click this plus button, you can normally search out blocks, but if I'm trying to look for a pattern, I usually hit the Browse All, because when you click these out, they'll give you a nice little preview window of what each of these patterns looks like. I'll just scroll through all of these just to show you some of what's available to you. So one thing it's important to note is that some of these patterns are displaying blog content, and it shows what's live on your website. So right now, I don't have any blog posts except the one that gets pre-installed, which is the Hello World post. So that's what you're seeing here, loading into some of these patterns. If you actually had blog content with featured images, you would see that appear, or at least you should see that appear within this pattern section. But these are all kind of to display blogs. We're getting into some of the banner style ones. And this is what I'm looking for here. This is the pricing page layout. It gives you a really nice infrastructure to start with. And the only thing I'm going to touch on here is the padding. So let me open up list view. I normally always operate with list view open just because I want to see the hierarchy as opposed to just the single block that's selected. And there's two group elements here. The top level one is renamed the pricing table. And you can see here, this is where it looks like some of this padding is built in. So if I go over to the styles on here, our padding top, bottom, left, and right are all set to 5 on this drag and drop menu. If you want to get more specific, you can alter it by putting in the pixel value or whatever unit you'd like. I'm just going to drop these down to 2. So let me update that, and we'll take a look at our website now. And I like the way this looks. Got a really professional layout in a fraction of the time it would have taken just a couple of years ago using the old theme system without full site editing. Pretty much every time that WordPress puts out a core update, it seems like something's being updated on the back end, changed, and new features added. But as I always say, the best way to learn it is to start your own website and play around yourself. This is all free. These are features that used to be only available to people who are purchasing premium themes. And more WordPress is trying to build that visual drag and drop design ability into their free theme system, into the core software. It really helps to understand the entire WordPress ecosystem. And to help you do that, I put together a free WordPress training. You can check that out at websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101. Now, if you enjoy working with WordPress the same way that I did and want to take your skills and start freelancing, grab my cheat sheet, 15 tools to start your web design business. You can find that on my homepage, websiteprofitcourse.com. All of these links that I mentioned today will be in the description below, including the tutorial guide if you want to recreate what we went through today. Last but not least, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any problems along the way, you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm interested in your experience with full site editing and whether you're new to WordPress and just learning it, or if you're a longtime WordPress user and you're getting used to it from the old system. And lastly, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can see all future WordPress tutorials and web design freelancing videos. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll link up a few other videos here if you want to keep on learning.